Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, Movie Reviews, Connections in Mind. Well, I'm not sure when exactly this will be uploaded to YouTube, but as I stand right now, we are in the final 11 hours of 2023, and as is usual for my channel, it's always nice to take a look back at the best and the worst and the large number of the sliding scale of just okay movies and TV shows that I reviewed in 2023, as well as give you a look forward as to what you can expect from my channel in 2024. Now, as I'll first do my rankings of the best and the worst and the just okay of 2023. These are just my personal rankings. I didn't see every single movie in 2023. These aren't necessarily hard and fast rankings per se. I have my three general categories. I have my sliding scale, which will appear either on one side or the other side. I'm not sure exactly which at this point. But this is how I'm going to delineate my my reviews, because frankly, there's a lot of movies that came out in 2023 that were just okay. There were a few that were best, and there were a couple that were worst. So without further ado, let's get into the best and the worst and the just okay of 2023. First, let's get the bad stuff out of the way. The worst of 2023 on the sliding scale. And only a couple really stood out to me as the worst of the year. And that would be, first off, The Marvels, which, I mean, for the MCU to give us so many great movies and then give us a movie that is so much not finished, it felt like, and one of the worst continuity errors that I've ever seen in a Marvel movie, to me, that is just egregious, in my opinion, and it was just overall an unpleasant movie to watch. That's why that ends up in the worst. The other item that comes up in the worst of 2023 for me is Secret Invasion. Now, a lot of people have said, a lot of things of what went wrong with Secret Invasion, why it's the worst. For me, I've been recently rewatching through Doctor Who, and one of Peter Capaldi's Doctor Who episodes, it was a two-parter. If the two-part BBC-run episodes, namely the Zygon Invasion and Zygon Inversion, do essentially the same story as Secret Invasion, only in a much tighter time frame, only about hour and a half-ish, and on a much smaller budget, and do the same kind of commentary that Secret Invasion was supposed to be doing so much better, that's when you know a series has got a problem, and Secret Invasion definitely has that problem. So, those are the worst thing, getting out of the way. Now let's start traveling up the sliding scale on the just okay. So like I said, I give it a sliding scale because while there are many, many movies, the vast majority of the movies and shows that I saw in 2023 find themselves in just okay, there were some that were, as the Animal Farmer would say, some are all okay, but some are more okay than others. So let's dive at the bottom of the just okay scale, and that would be for my money, Cocaine Bear. Can't say it didn't deliver on what the title advertised, but for me, it could have been a lot funnier than it actually was. That's why I lumped that near the bottom. Going up from that would be Meg 2: The Trench. I had somewhat high hopes for the Meg 2 after the first one. First one was, guilty pleasure, kind of cheesy fun, go on with this. And it tried to do that, but ultimately I have to say it just didn't work. I've had no desire to revisit it since. After that would be Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This, I said in my review, you have a problem when you tease such a vibrant and creative world such as the quantum realm in the previous Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, but then they kind of turn it on its head and make it not only look very generic, but really ugly looking. And the characters were all great. First of all, for my money, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, not the greatest. Next up would be The Flash. Now this one, I cut a little bit more slack than I think a lot of other people did, but I think I commented to the person at Best Buy that when I bought my copy of it, I'm only really buying it because I'm a completionist, but there's a reason why it came out of theaters so early in its run. So let's just leave it there. Next up would be Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Of the DC offerings that we got this year, not the worst, and again, I probably cut a little more slack than a lot of people did. And I thought the Skittles product placement was really funny, but I can see why a lot of people were just rolling their eyes and saying, "Really?" So there was enough fun to be had with Shazam: Fury of the Gods that I cut a little bit more slack, but I also acknowledge that it's definitely near the lower end of just okay for my money. Next up would be The Mandalorian Season 3. Now, Mandalorian, I've been a fan of it from Season 1. I enjoyed Season 2. Season 3 is where it's kind of starting to lose me at this point, and quite honestly, I'm not entirely certain I really even want a Mandalorian Season 4 at this point. So that's one where you got to wonder what Disney's going to do with this going forward. Next up, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, this is one, I wanted it to be good. I did actually want it to be good, but I cut it probably a little bit more slack than others did as far as the de-aging Harrison Ford in the very beginning. But, when you have to have a hard look at yourself and say, is this truly better than Indiana Jones and the Criminal of the Crystal Skull? Then that's where this is not a top tier Indiana Jones movie, not by a long shot. So there's that. Next up on the sliding scale, just okay, is Blue Beetle. This is one where, again, of the DC offerings we've got, this is probably the best DC movie that we got this year. That doesn't make it, it's not great, but for what it was, as far as the origin story goes, not necessarily tied in with the dying continuity of 2023, then I'd say this is probably okay. It's one where I had a decent enough time with it. And I'll probably tie it with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom with that one. That one probably had a little bit more to disappoint, but again, I've had a good enough time in the theater with Blue Beetle and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom to justify them being roughly close to the middle of the pack as far as the just okay offerings we got this year. Next up is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Now, I've liked the earlier Transformers ones. I really liked Bumblebee, and I was hoping for more of the same from Bumblebee as with Rise of the Beasts. Some of it was a little bit there, but other ones I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. But I will be reviewing future Transformers products, so stay tuned for the 2024 preview for that. Next up is A Haunting in Venice. I've been mixed to positive on the Kenneth Branagh, Hercule Poirot mystery movies. I was mixed to liking Burning Orient Express. I did really enjoy Death of the Nile, at least more so than the first one. This one, I would probably put it middle of the pack between those two, and that it's an okay time. What can I say? That's why I put it on the just okay sliding scale here. Next up is a movie that I did not do a full review of, but I just saw it recently. It is Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget on Netflix. This is one where Chicken Run, I'm a big fan of it. This is actually one of the very first DVDs that my family ever bought back in the day. And, grew up with it. It was fun. It's a fun time then and now. The Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nuggets, 23 years after the fact, it's fine. It's not quite the same now that you got several notable voice actors who are not returning for this new one, and the plot. If you're trying to introduce, if you have young kids and they're watching, if they like the original Chicken Run and they're close enough in age to watch the original and this one back to back, I think they'll have a good time. For me, I thought it was just eh. Next up is Gran Turismo, one where it's a sports movie. I wasn't expecting a lot, and I got what I expected. So that's why I put it very much middle of the pack as far as just okay. Next up, we have another movie, or rather one where I just did a recent review on, and it is Marvel's What If Season 2. See my review of that from yesterday or a couple days ago, depending on when it's uploaded. I thought it was fine. Good animation, a couple of good storylines in there. Starting to get to upper tier of just okay. We're on the upper half of just okay now. Next up is Fast X. I've been on the the fast ride for quite a while now, and I'm not entirely certain what anyone else was expecting as far as Fast X goes. All I'm hoping for is just end it at 11. Don't try to go any further. You've already committed to a two-parter. Just end it at 11. Don't. We're already running on fumes here, so. Let's just leave it at that. Next is another movie I did not do a review of, and it technically came out the tail end of 2022 in the festival circuit, but it came out early 2023 here in the States. That is Sisu. This is what I saw a preview for, and I was like, okay, this looks pretty much like John Wick, but set in World War II, and John Wick is a older Finnish soldier, or Finnish prospector, I guess. And you know what? That's exactly what it is. And again, trailers did not promise me any more than what they said. And it is what it is. I'd rather watch John Wick, but for what it is, it was all right. Next up is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is one where, as far as the Marvel, MCU properties go, this is probably the best that came out this year. I'm not, I was not the biggest fan of it, but I appreciate the note it ended this trilogy on, and I'm curious to see where they take these characters moving forward if they end up doing that. Next up would be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, a lot of people are putting this on their, all best of 2024 or 2023, and I'm putting this on the upper scale of just okay, but for my money, I prefer the first one just because that is a complete story. This is not it's not a part 1 of 2. And also, maybe just because I'm older and I'm used to a different style of animation, but the hyper fast animation, it was okay enough in the Into the Spider-Verse, but Across the Spider-Verse, it just got on my nerves and I couldn't handle it, I guess. So there's that for you. Next up, we're getting to the upper tier of just okay for me. Next up is the Super Mario Brothers movie. Again, didn't grow up with the Super Mario games. I was not really versed in lore. It was kind of osmosis from various friends in school or whatever. But for what it was, and when I watched it, it was a charming little video game movie. And again, what did you expect? For what it was, it delivered exactly what it promised, and I think that is a stellar achievement on that front. Next up, I'm probably ranking this a little higher than most people would in their rankings, but again, top tier, just okay, is Loki Season 2. Beginning was a little slow, but then by the end, I was really liking how they were going to wrap it up, even though the ending, I think, was a little weird. I think it was thought-provoking, and for the series to do that, it's better to leave an audience member confused, a little bit confused and thought-provoking, rather than just, hey, that ended and let's just forget about it already. So for that standpoint, I think that this is probably more of the upper scale, just okay. And then finally, in the just okay category is one where I really debated whether or not I wanted to put this at the bottom of the best category or at the very top of just okay. And in the end, I settled for the top of the just okay sliding scale for me is Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4. One where, again, funny storylines, repeated gags that are more or less hit the mark. My only concern is, where do they go from there? Do they have an endpoint in mind, or they're just going to keep going until they run out of steam? That's my main concern going forward for Lower Decks. So that's the entirety of the sliding scale of just okay. Now we're getting into the various sliding scale of the best, in my money, for 2023. This again, sliding scale. We may rank these differently, but these are for my money the best that I saw this year. And the bottom of the best category is Godzilla -1, another one where I didn't do a full review of it. However, I heard so much about this movie, and the only reason I was reluctant to see it up until fairly recently is because I heard the same kind of talk of how, oh, this is the best Godzilla movie ever from Shin Godzilla, which is the one that came out in 2016. And when I finally got around to seeing that, I was like, this is what everyone is raving about. I thought Shin Godzilla was kind of eh. So I was reluctant to believe the hype when it came to Godzilla Minus One, but then when I finally saw it, all right, this is actually a pretty decent movie. You know, I'm more of a fan of Godzilla when he's actually destroying Tokyo or whatever, or fighting other giant kaiju. But for what it is, being a more grounded, character-based movie rather than just a kaiju feature, I think it was actually a well-done movie, and it's deserving a lot of the praise that it's been getting. So good on Godzilla Minus One. Next up is, for my money, Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, I can't, again, it is one of the best movies of 2023. There is no denying that. It's not my personal favorite of the year, but, you can't deny the technical and wizardry that is going on here, and the fact that there's almost zero special effects going on in this movie. No CGI shots going on here. That is just astounding. And Robert Downey Jr. also, he's probably going to be the front runner for Best Supporting Actor. I feel like definitely worth checking out, especially on a big screen. Next up is John Wick Chapter 4. I think as I said in my review, the John Wick franchise has been diminishing returns since the first one, but not that much diminishing returns. As I always say, if John Wick is here, John Wick Chapter 2 is probably here, 3 is here, and then 4, a little bit below right there. But again, what a ride! And the gun fu is all over the place and superb. Definitely worth the ending. And with that ending, again, Lionsgate, if you happen to be listening, please don't make a John Wick 5. Just don't do it. You ended on a good note. Just let sleeping dogs lie there, all right? Next up is Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is probably the best live-action Star Trek series that's currently airing right now. This is just what Star Trek is to me. This is a fun time, and this season they were willing to, go weird and experiment. This is one where I have no idea how they were able to do it, to pull off some of these things. But they did, and even if they don't land entirely perfect for me, I appreciate the attempt. I'm very much looking forward to Season 3 of Strange New Worlds. Next up is Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. This is one where, I'm not a Dungeons & Dragons fan. I have not played the game ever, so I went into this, with very low expectations, and I was blown away. It was a very fun movie. What can you say? With a good surprise, lands it in one of the best movies of 2023 for me. And second from the top of the best things of 2023 for me is Star Trek Picard Season 3, the final season. I said that, Strange New Worlds is probably the best live-action Star Trek series currently airing right now. But the best Star Trek season that's been aired so far is probably Star Trek Picard Season 3, because, again, go back and look at my reviews. I was mixed to negative on Season 1. Season 2 is an abomination as far as I'm concerned. But then Season 3, it totally redeemed itself. And for my money, you can treat it as a standalone season, as a continuation after Star Trek Nemesis. For my money, there's only one season of Star Trek Picard, and that's this final one. It was that good for my money. So that means the best, in my opinion, the best thing in 2023, and also my favorite movie of this year, is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Not necessarily the best Mission Impossible movie in the franchise, but, so much great action, great characters. Haley Atwell is the standout star of this movie, and I'm interested to see where they go from here. How could they possibly? What other stunts could they possibly do now with Tom Cruise? And with Tom Cruise just I hope, this man's probably going to die doing a dangerous stunt for our enjoyments, and I hope he doesn't do that. But just be careful, Tom, when you're doing that. You're not as young as you once was. But again, for this movie, one of the best film in 2023 for my money, at least the ones that I saw, and my favorite of this year. So those are my rankings of the worst, just okay, and best of 2023. Now let me run down a preview of what you can expect from this channel in 2024. Again, I hate to have to keep issuing this this notice, but ever since 2020, we've had to shift schedules around so much. So this schedule might change around a little bit, and I might add a couple things in here to go throughout the year. You never know. Something might pop up that sounds more interesting to me, or some of these things may end up shifting the release schedule back a year or more, and I'll have to take some more off. So this is not a final listing schedule for the next year, but hopefully that I'll be getting all of these to you at some point in 2024. So for movies, we're going to start with Madame Web coming out February 14th, Dune Part 2 coming out March 1st, Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out March 8th, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire coming out March 29th, Godzilla X Kong The New Empire April 12th, The Fall Guy May 3rd, Furiosa A Mad Max Saga May 24th, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes also May 24th, Inside Out 2, June 14th. Twisters, July 19th. Deadpool 3, July 26th. Alien Romulus, August 16th. Kraven the Hunter, August 30th. Beetlejuice 2, September 6th. Transformers 1, September 13th. Joker, Folie à Deux, October 4th. Venom 3, November 8th. Gladiator 2, November 22nd. Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim, December 13th. And Sonic the Hedgehog 3, December 20th. And in addition to those movies, I don't have dates for all of these TV series, but I have a small list of TV series that I'll be doing at least season reviews of. And in case of one, I'll be doing my episode by episode reaction episodes to. So that list includes Agatha, Darkhold Diaries, Daredevil, Born Again, Marvel Zombies, Halo Season 2, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 2, and Star Trek Discovery Season 5, the final season. That is the one which I will be hopefully doing each episode reaction as they drop. I believe it is a 10-episode final season, so be sure to look for that. And that's it. That is my rundown of 2023, and looking forward to 2024. I hope you all had a wonderful 2023, and even if you didn't, there's always, you gotta keep pushing forward. That's all I can say. And I hope you all have a safe New Year's Eve and New Year's Day celebrations, and I hope you all have a wonderful 2024. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. If you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, I have seen it before.